All right, so who is the new Undisputed champion? It's Volkanowski, right? It's Volkanowski. Alexander Volkanowski has now just officially won the featherweight championship, I believe, for the second time. So a lot of people were counting out Volkanowski going into this fight, right? We're watching the live win and the championship belt ceremony. All 5 rounds he went with Diego Lopes. Now, why did we underestimate why did we underestimate Volkanowski going into this fight? Well, for several reasons. The damage going into this fight was absolutely significant, and as a result of that, we really thought, at least if you're a smart, hardcore fan, you would think that the best bet is Diego Lopes. Well, that's not the case. Sometimes the damage is not indicative of the person's skills, and we could name so many people at the top level that have continued to perform after taking damage after damage. Overeem comes to mind. Alistair Overeem comes to mind. Who else? Justin Gaethje comes to mind. Look what he did with Fiziev. A whole list of people that are damaged fighters but somehow come out on top in these, less par competition. I mean, Derek Chisora you could throw in there on the boxing side. But either way, we really underestimated Volkanowski, and it shows that, hey, you know what? Maybe he'll have problems with top-level champions or number 1s or number 2s. But when it comes down to it, when he's fighting these guys that are unproven like Diego Lopes, I think it shows that Volkanowski can win at any given Friday, any given Saturday, any given Sunday. Okay, and by the way, it's probably Sunday in his part of the world right now as they were watching this probably early in the morning or afternoon. And then there's Izzy right there in the stands sort of watching this whole thing play out. So other matches to take a look at, obviously, the real co-main event of the evening, Bryce Mitchell versus John Silva. Wow. Okay, great job on Bryce Mitchell for really starting out very aggressive, okay? Not only that, was throwing a lot of volume, using a lot of side kicks, using a lot of oblique kicks, and then on top of that, using his height and his distance to manage John Silva. Out of nowhere, they were going into these grappling exchanges, grappling, what do you call it? Not grappling exchanges, I'm sorry, grappling scrambles, sorry. My brain got a little scrambled there for a second. So within these scrambles, okay, I believe he went and shot in for a takedown, got the ninja choke on Bryce Mitchell, took him down to the ground, almost like a north-south position, and that was all she wrote, man. We thought that Bryce Mitchell was more of the submission fighter here, right? The better jiu-jitsu guy. We thought wrong. We knew Silva had great knockout prowess. We knew he had great striking. We thought that's what was going to bring him into the dance here. But by the end of the day, no matter how you look at it, right, there is no good or evil when two guys are fighting. Maybe there is a clear evil and there is a clear good, but I tell you what, it doesn't determine fights. The good guys aren't always going to win, and the bad guys aren't always going to win. And depending on what side of the aisle you side on with all these controversies that goes on with Bryce Mitchell, rest assured that that right there is a reality of fighting in and of itself. The good guy, the favorite, or the bad guy, or the guy that has the most buzz isn't always going to win. And now I think John Silva has a big buzz going into or coming out of this fight. Yair Rodriguez versus Pitbull. Now look, Pitbull had some good takedowns in this fight, but honestly, I think he showed levels. Now, is Patricio Pitbull going anywhere? Probably not. Let's see how he does with lesser competition. Great job on his part, but Yair's kicks were just on point tonight. Was constantly on Patricio Pitbull, keeping the distance, keeping him at bay. And as a result of that, well, here we are by the end of the night. Okay, this is what we got by the end of the night. The result of that, Yair Rodriguez getting the nod. Now, is it controversial? Sure it is, but that's the fight game in and of itself. Here we are, Paddy Pimblett taking on Michael Chandler. So now Paddy Pimblett is now moving up in competition. Speaking of another guy that we underestimated, how about Paddy Pimblett? Now, the theme of the whole night was that, how about Paddy Pimblett gets schooled by a guy who's more experienced? Well, we thought that was going to be the opposite of that in the main event with Volkanowski. The reality is Volkanowski is a veteran. He's able to use his veteran savviness to win this fight, whereas with Michael Chandler, he wasn't able to, because by the end of it all, no matter what kind of damage you take, no matter what kind of situation you got going on in the fight game, bad habits are always going to be bad habits, and ultimately, the bad habits of Michael Chandler is what cost him the fight tonight. Now, we all knew that Paddy was going to win this, but we didn't think that he was going to win this in this kind of way. Punches from the mount position. He had a few moments where he was close to getting a submission on Michael Chandler, but ultimately Michael Chandler just could not hold on, and he got finished by the end of that round. So other fights to mention, obviously, Dominic Reyes gets a hook counter against Nikita Krylov. Now, how about the story that no one is talking about in this fight, right? So Nikita Krylov was labeled a separatist by the Ukrainian government, right? Because he's a pro-Russian fighter. He's a pro-Russian person, and this is nothing that's really that unusual in Ukraine. He gets the win. I'm sorry, he gets knocked out in the same similar fashion that Conor McGregor knocked out Jose Aldo. He came in there, overcommitted. He stepped back and hit him with a hook, or hit him with some sort of straight right hand as Nikita was walking in. And just as I was saying that in the live commentary and reaction, then Joe Rogan and John Anik say it right after. And Dominic Reyes actually had a conversation with the President of the United States afterwards. By the way, shout out to Donald Trump. He once again made an appearance in the UFC. Never really telling anybody, obviously, for security reasons. But anytime Trump is in the house, it obviously brings more profile to the UFC, brings the fighters a different type of motivation, obviously, to perform in front of the president. That's a very prestigious thing. Not just Elon Musk. They had Kash Patel. They had Robert Kennedy. They had Ted Cruz. They had everybody up in there. They had Tulsi Gabbard. And they were there just in time to watch the main card of Dominic Reyes getting the win over Nikita Krylov with that counter left hook. Dan Ige and Sean Woodson. So Dan Ige finishes Sean Woodson. I mean, this was a great back-and-forth matchup. Once again, Dan Ige showing his grittiness and his will of determination. Verma Genderoba gets a win over Jan. I mean, it was just total ground control the whole entire time, a rinse and repeat. And what about Chase Hooper getting the nod over Jim Miller? Now, goes to a decision, 3 rounds. Great experience for Chase Hooper. Jim Miller will be coming back. He'll continue fighting in the UFC. He's going for a certain number, I mean, a wide, huge number of UFC appearances. But once again, great job on Chase Hooper. He did a great job, neutralizing everything that Jim Miller had going on, using the height, using his advantages, using the range. Let's see how Chase Hooper does now in the ever-stacked 155 division. And great call-outs that he's had going on. I don't know if he did call out anyone significant, but I think there's a lot of great competition for him in 155, and not only that, even more so, a much healthier 155 division now, more than ever. I mean, there's Arman Sarukian that he could look up in the future. There's maybe Bobby Green. That's a fight in the horizon. Maybe Jalen Turner if he doesn't retire. Drew Dober. I mean, a whole lot of different names that Chase Hooper. But you're going to have hard names from here on out because this is just how the UFC is. Look at Pitbull earlier tonight. He came in here. What was the fight? It was Yair Rodriguez, one of the best strikers in the UFC. That's what you get. Julian Erosa gets a knee over Darren Elkins as he was coming in there and finishes him in the first round. Great fight. I mean, nothing less of what you expect out of Darren Elkins. He's the type of fighter that lives by the gun, dies by the gun tonight. He just was not on the positive side of that gun. Okay, so moving on. Mikhail Olajechuk gets a finish over Cedric Dumas. Again, I was telling you guys about the story interests of Cedric Dumas possibly fighting for extra. Now, this doesn't disqualify that, right? Just like Michael Chandler, just because Michael Chandler lost tonight, it doesn't mean that this ultimately disqualifies him from fighting Conor McGregor. Sumarez versus Mitch Raposo. Split decision win over Sumarez. This is one of those fights where, do you like the striking better or do you like the grappling better? Obviously, the grappling was not enough for Mitch. Sumarez, a lot of his strikes, I think, really won him this fight. It was a split decision. That's what you get out of a split decision. Going into the fight, you didn't know who was going to win, and that was that. Marco Tulio gets a knockout over Trishan Gore. Now, he had some great combinations that he was throwing in this fight, right? Just great roundhouse kicks, multiple attacks that he was throwing, front kicks, side kicks, high kicks, and this and that. Trishan Gore gets knocked out, walks in on a straight right, and that was all she wrote on the second round. And then, obviously, the starter of the fight of the whole entire night, rear naked choke by Nora Cornelli. Now, what's great about this, Nora is a known kickboxing champion, rounded out her game really well, showed a little bit of everything, including a choke. Great job on the part of the French kickboxer, showing different tools and different arsenals in her game. Let's see how she does next in the next fight coming up. And yeah, that is all that we have for the entire fight night and the entire fight card. Obviously, you're probably going to know later on who got the bonus awards and whatnot. I'm filming this literally right at the end of the main event so that I can get this video out to you guys. So with that in mind, don't forget to like and subscribe. I will see you in the next content, inshallah.